This week on Cartoon Dumpster Dive, we're covering the cartoon Tripping the Rift. Greeting, listener, from the future. This is one of the rare times where we remember to record something in advance. So this should be coming out after we cover a bunch of anime. I hope you liked it. Is that something you want to see more often? I'm going to assume yes.
I want to.
Yeah,
I love anime.
A lot of people, I always consider anime to be cheating, but you know what? We've been doing this for over 2 years now, so why not? Why not pick some animes to just kind of fluff it out a bit?
Hey, maybe next year we can do it in the month of May, and we can call it Anna May.
Oh, that's so good. Why didn't we think of that?
Because I didn't see that Crunchyroll ad until later in the month.
Well, there you go. But today, we'll be covering Tripping the Rift.
Yes. What a...
Yeah, what a show.
What a show. It's, yeah. Not much to say but that.
Without further ado, though, let's watch that theme song.
Let's hit it.
Is outer space still called outer space if you're in it?
Okay, it's kind of nothing. I believe the ship does a joke every intro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel... I'm not happy that I've heard it. I'm not angry that I've heard it. I'm literally just neutral.
Yeah,
I'm giving it a 5.
It's like a 4. Maybe, 4 or 5.
I feel nothing about
3
it.
or 4. It's kind of hard to rate a theme song you don't really give a shit about. I have no strong feelings either way.
The one thing that, the one thing that you really miss out on from not being able to see what is going on in the theme song is it's kind of setting up the tone of what this show is, which is basically making fun of like pop culture sci-fi stuff.
Oh yeah, big time. So how did this show get made?
So Andrew, this this is one of those shows where it's definitely targeted to a mature audience, not for
you
kids.
think?
Yeah, I know, right? So it aired in 2004. It ran for 3 seasons, a total of 39 episodes. This one actually is a pretty interesting backstory. So actually, it goes all the way back to the early internet days, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going
ASL,
all the way
am I
back.
right, ladies and gentlemen?
ASL, age, sex, location, where you want to meet up. Because that's what that meant, right?
Yeah, that is.
So the year was 1997, and there's a guy by the name of Chris Moeller who, at this time, he's working on a little show called King of the Hill. He's been working in the animation field for a while. He's actually working on producing his own little animated short with a production company by the name of Dark Bunny. And this is where he meets another guy by the name of Chuck Austin. And from there, Chuck Austin and Chris Moeller, they actually produce and release a short on the internet by the name of Love and Dorf.
Okay.
They actually went with a animation studio by the name of Film Roman to get this thing produced. Now, they released this on the internet. The year is 98. So just think about that. 1998, they are releasing a animated short on the internet based off of these characters. To me, that's pretty crazy that people was doing that back in 98. I feel like in 98, the internet was still very young. The short kind of becomes pretty popular. A lot of people like it. They start working on another short, almost like an episode 2 to that. They release a trailer through the Film Roman platform for this episode. They make a full version, but the release was all left up to Film Roman. Okay. Fast forward down the road, Sin Group, which is I think it's a Canadian animation company.
Okay.
This is now 2002, so 4 years in the future, Sin Group actually acquires the right to their first animated short, Love and Dorf. They actually work with a separate animator, to help produce this show that we're talking about in line with Science Fiction US.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why I said it like that. Sci-fi US.
Yeah. Science Fiction US. I'm like, what
I
channel
don't know.
is that?
So they work, they get the rights, and they just kind of go off and start making a show based off of this.
Okay.
But it was all based off of that original short that Chris and Chuck did all the way back in 98.
Not bad.
But that's
okay.
it.
But
It's got some depth to it, you
Yeah.
know. It's not them trying to sell action figures.
that's true. It's
So-
I'll get into this a little later, but I really feel like this show was trying to be like the Void, like to be the next Futurama.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I want to get into that when we start talking about the show.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and get the voice cast out of the way. Not out of the way. This is an important part of the show. It's like my main part of the show.
Yeah, you got more parts than
That's
that.
true.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So the voice cast for Tripping the Rift is Stephen Root is Chode, Maurice LaMarche is Gus, John Melendez is Bob, Gailey Garfink is Snunk, Rick Jones is Whip, and Terrence Schamil is Darth Bobo.
Okay.
For their additional voices, we have Stephen Root is Milton from Office Space, but also Monroe Fuchs from the awesome show Barry.
Okay, yep.
Maurice LaMarche, he is Vincent Price and Orson Welles in The Simpsons.
Interesting.
John Melendez is himself as Stuttering John Melendez in the movie Private Parts, like the Howard Stern movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gail Garfinkel is Doris Wells in The Hotel in New Hampshire. Rick Jones is Zeke in Heavy Metal 2000. And
Okay.
Terrence Scamell is Chartog in Heavy Metal 2000.
Okay.
So first and foremost, favorite thing about this show. The Star Wars
me or
reference
you?
character is a clown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Darth Bobo.
Darth Bobo. What a great, it's just, but so the premise of the show is basically, there is a war between two fractions. It's basically Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Wars versus Star Trek. So the Star Trek side is the Confederation. And the Star Wars side is the Dark Clown Empire. So they both have control over two different sides of space. People who live in them, they're like the Dark Clown Empire, they practice slavery, and everybody who lives in the Confederation, they're like, we're just wage slaves. Like there's not much of a difference, but there's one part of space they don't control called the Rift, and that's where most of our story takes place. We follow Chode McBlob, a big purple alien.
What a name. What a name.
Yeah. We have Six, a sex robot turned engineer. She was originally going to be called 6 of 9. I think maybe it got censored or whatever. Tnuk Kaleor, which is like a quadruped ugly alien. Whip is Chode's dim-witted nephew. We have Gus, C-3PO style robot who's extremely gay but in the closet about it. Spaceship Bob, who's basically Hal from Space Odyssey. And then we have Darth Bobo, who is the clown, Darth Sith Lord we've been talking about.
Yep.
And then we have Captain Adam Francis Shatner. He talks like Captain Kirk, but like the way more over dramatized Captain Kirk. He's like Chode. So
you don't say.
Yeah. So this show wants to be Futurama. That's what this is. I don't remember if 2004 Futurama was off the air yet, because Futurama is the show that doesn't quit. It gets canceled, it comes back. It gets canceled, it comes back. And you just keep doing it. It's coming back now. It's going to be on Hulu.
It's on like
love Futurama.
Yeah, eighth cancellation.
What was Futurama? It was a show that had pop culture references now and also an extreme sci-fi element. And I really think the only difference between this show and Futurama, because the animation is not bad, the CGI is on par with 2004. If you ask me, almost a little advanced as far as like, so like it was probably expensive because it looked like decent. I'm not going to say it's going to blow you away, but like if you look at 2004 and you look at what this show is, it looks fine. Like nothing is hard to look at that they weren't trying to do that to begin with. My biggest thing that this didn't become Futurama for is because they did not have their Bender character. They didn't have the super marketable. You look at Matt Groening's shows, they always have, and I think this is why Disenchantment isn't doing that well. Because you had Bart. Bart was like everywhere in the early 90s, and that's why The Simpsons, like Bart was so influential. They talked about him in the Senate about how he was a bad influence on children.
Oh, yeah.
And then Futurama, which is...
Butterfinger.
Yeah,
Butterfinger wouldn't be a candy bar without Bart Simpson.
No way. So we get to Futurama. They have Bender. Bender's the Bart. You have the catchphrases. He drinks. He's pretty much the source of comedy in about 80% of the early episodes of Futurama. They don't have... Tripping the Rift just doesn't have that. Although they have some jokes that are hysterical. So they...
Yes.
There's one episode. It's the only one that got burnt into my memory. But they're kind of trying to do a Romeo and Juliet situation with the Confederation and the Clown Empire. By making Darth Bobo's daughter hook up with Captain Adam's son.
Yeah.
And before they do, and their Tunk goes, we could probably bring peace to the galaxy with love conquering all. And Whip asked his Chode, he goes, is it true, Uncle Chode? Does love really conquer all? And Chode goes, sure, kid, ask any hooker. Like, yeah, it's Chode's perviness is pretty funny. Like, everybody's pretty funny. The only thing that's truly off-putting about this show is, I don't really know how to phrase this, but how sexy everyone, like, if they want a character to be like bodacious, it's like alarming. It's like one of those where if you're watching it and someone opens the door, they're like, hey, you should probably lock your door if you're gonna watch stuff like this, man. This is kind of inappropriate to walk in on.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. And you're like, no, it's just a comedy show on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like, sure it is.
I swear, because so watching a couple of these episodes, the one thing I could not help but think about was, I bet you that who was it? It was the animator Bernie Denick, or because he was an animator that got to direct this. I almost feel like there was like, you know what? He was like, I watched this show Reboot, a few years back, and I loved what they was doing with the animation. And as soon as I saw it, you know what? The first thing I thought was, I could use this animation to make some Tig-O bitties.
That's, I mean,
it's
got
like
an impressive jiggle physics engine in this animation. I'll say that much.
It's one of those things. It's like you give anybody some new form of medium to like create something, it will eventually turn sexual.
Oh yeah,
because this is what this is. It's just it's over sexualized to the point where it's like uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like a little bit like you're just like, I don't need all this. Like,
it's just like,
I mean, 6 is one thing. I get it. She's a sex robot, but man, they do not shy away from the fact that she, like, people like, it's the weirdest joke to me, because if she is a sex robot, right? Why are people doing whatever she wants? She should be everywhere in all the stores. Like, there should. What I'm saying is,
she should be
there
mass
shouldn't
produced.
be anything special about her, because you can go to Space Walmart, which I'm almost certain would be a joke in this show, and go get you a 6 or a 7 or what have you. The only difference about her is she's sentient, and it's really more about her smarts.
I feel like
they don't portray it that way in the show. By the way,
that's the joke.
Yeah,
she's
smart and has big titties.
Yeah, but
that's
I feel like
good old early 2000s humor for you.
You remember that scene in Toy Story 2 with all the Buzz Lightyear at the toy store? I feel like that would be it. You would see a bunch of those like sex dolls.
Exactly
like,
it.
Which one do I want? Yeah. But it is just, I think you said it right. It's a show where if someone caught you watching this, I feel like there would be like embarrassment on both ends.
Yeah. Another joke that I really liked, Tanuk, she's about to get married. And the groom walks out on her. Some for some reason I can't remember, but she goes, "Oh my God, I was left at the altar. They're gonna think I'm damaged goods." And Chode goes, "You were born damaged goods." I mean, most of the funniest jokes come from Chode, and I feel like he was supposed to be the bender. If they were to make merchandise about this show, it would be him, and I'm sure that there is.
But he's like also the main character.
Yeah, see, that's where they mess up. You can't make your marketable character your main character.
He can be a very important and like a very common character, but you can have stories with him as the main focus, but he cannot be the main character.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And I feel like that's where this show failed. Although it did get popular enough,
dude,
to get a movie.
I was about to say, this show, apparently Americans were just, I guess, snooty. I don't know.
Yeah, so
I don't know if that's the best way
sex.
to put it.
Americans like violence, but if you see too many boobs, they'll fucking lose their mind and have a big old boner about it.
We like to just, do that stuff in the privacy of our homes. That's all it is.
Too many people got caught watching it and felt embarrassed.
Exactly, and they're like, we gotta cancel this show.
Which is weird because in Canada it's uncensored, and you're not missing anything. You really want to see a CGI penis. But so there was a Tripping the Rift movie. It came out in 2008. The story revolves around Darth Bobo sending a time traveling killer clown to assassinate Chode from the past.
Okay. Terminator.
Yeah, there are hundreds. So there are so many sci-fi pop culture references, but I think the part that really kind of took me out of it were the celebrity references. Because it's just they reference Rosie O'Donnell, and Futurama kind of got around that with the head in the jars, but they don't really have that. It's why wouldn't they reference their own versions of celebrities, or maybe a parody of a celebrity? That's the only part about the show that I didn't really
they actually referenced Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, they say
by that name.
I've got about as much faith as Rosie O'Donnell has in a makeshift elevator, something like that. This is a pretty mean joke,
dude,
but. But yeah, they reference celebrities by name. They do it a lot, and it's like you guys are from the future and aliens and in space. So
I do like it when shows even if they reference a celebrity, they'll kind of make their own version of that celebrity. Change just make their name rhyme with the celebrity that you're trying to.
But that was the only part where the jokes really didn't land, because I'm one, it wasn't sci-fi, and two, it was just
I could see that.
It's just you have so much material with sci-fi. Why don't you just make fun? It'd be better if you just made fun of that, because a lot of the celebrity jokes they make fun of in Futurama, they're not that great either.
No,
they're just okay, I'd rather see them make fun of Star Wars or some obscure B movie that nobody knows.
Yeah, they rather hear that.
That's where sci-fi comedy really excels, when it makes fun of just sci-fi.
Well, it's you're pandering to the audience you're trying to pander to.
100%. I don't think anybody cares about this show enough to get some sort of revival.
I think the movie. I think
the movie was the closest thing you'd get to it.
Yeah.
But even then, it was a year after the show ended. I think this show came and went. It wanted to be Futurama in a time where Futurama had really lit the fire for that kind of show. It didn't really get anywhere. I think maybe because it was too hard in the parody, that it took you out of the show. Maybe that's about one, marketability. They didn't have a guy. They tried to have a guy, but they didn't have a guy, and just I don't know. And honestly, it probably was too expensive. Whenever you make a CGI show, especially in the early 2000s, it's always going to be a chunk of change.
It's always going to be.
It's probably still a lot of money. I mean, there's a reason there aren't a lot of CGI shows now, if any. I mean, I can't name one off the top of my head. A Disney short, maybe, but that's not a show. Yeah,
but
just a straight CGI show, one that people would want to look at. No way.
Like, I know, like, the only ones I can think about are, like, the more anime themed.
Yeah, they're more
ones,
stylized.
You know,
but if you want to do, like,
something like this,
something like this, no way.
No.
But, Joel, I believe it's time to move to your new reoccurring segment, reviews that create a rift in space. And I don't have a second one.
See, I was going to say, I was thinking reviews that trip the rift.
Okay.
And reviews that ollie over it. I don't know why I went skateboarding with it.
Yeah, whatever. I was going to say reviews that be tripping, and I'm like, am I a suburban mom? What the fuck am I thinking? So,
yo, guys, this review be tripping.
Oh, well, we'd have to use Gen Z stuff. So it'd be like, this review is bussin'. No cap, right? Right, Darnold? Anyway, what are the reviews?
So I'm going to start. This one actually has a 1 out of 10. It's a little bit on the lengthy side, but I think I can get through it pretty quick. Titled, It Doesn't Understand Humor. Humor is a difficult thing to master. You can have a joke and tell it in such a way that it either makes the listener pee their pants with laughter, wince in discomfort, or sigh in apathy. All the same joke, just different ways of telling it. Something very simple can ruin a joke. Poor timing, not knowing the word porn is not a punchline to everything and shouldn't be treated as such. That falling off a small ledge isn't funny without proper setup. That simple announcing you're gay isn't funny without some kind of context, and so forth. Some people don't understand that there is an entire art to comedy. Louis C.K. can tell a story about getting a hand job, and it's hilarious. Also, this review's from 2016. I should tell you this. Dane Cook did the same thing, and it's lame. Andy Kaufman ate a bowl of ice cream, and it was brilliant. Tom Green ate a bowl of cereal, and no one cared. Tripping the Riff wants to do shock comedy, but it doesn't understand the first thing about comedy. It's the Dane Cook and Tom Green of CG animated shows.
I can't. Are there enough CG animated shows just to say that? That guy
maybe
seems like a real downer, man. I don't know.
Am I forgetting something about like the early 2000s? Were there a lot of animated shows
think
like this?
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Well, that's the
that guy
that's
has
the
a good.
1 out of 10.
I mean, that guy has a few good points. He sounded really pretentious the way he did it, but
oh yeah.
There's a lot of like, he's gay, ha, show like jokes, but also in a reference of the late 2000 or the early 2000s, early 90s. That was basically a joke back then. Like, that's all that it was.
Not a good one.
No, they're not all winners. Like the jokes. No. Okay, so the jokes that land, you'll laugh, but it's kind of like finding a gold nugget in a river of shit.
Maybe that was the problem. There was a few of those jokes that landed.
I mean, yeah, it's not super duper funny. It's more like, look at these tits in space. The show. That's mainly the show. But
So that was a 1 out of 10. Again, that was back in 2016. This is a 10 out of 10 from 2019.
Okay.
Just titled Hilarious. If you have sort of a dark humor and don't mind the consistent filthiness of it, then you'll love it. I absolutely love this show. The characteristics are just so unique and quirky in their own ways. I'm a huge fan of adult animation, so when I find one that is pretty funny and pushes the norm, I'm all for it. Definitely a funny show and worth night in binge watching. He just likes the titties.
He likes the titty. I wouldn't say this is worth binge watching.
The moment he said the characteristics for like the animation or like right up his alley, I'm just like, you just like the boobies.
There's a delicate dance with this show. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of groan-worthy jokes in this show.
Yeah.
I will say that. Like, but man, when they hit a joke that's funny, you laugh like a lot. But is it worth watching it? Like, is it worth 22 minutes of your time to maybe catch the episode that has a joke that'll make you laugh?
No.
Even though my favorite part of the show is that the Star Wars characters are clowns.
Yep.
I just love clowns. They're so hilarious. And to think of a clown as an actual race, to me, is the funniest fucking thing in the world. Not like even like Pennywise, just like that guy's a clown. Like he's a clown. He's a man, but he's a clown. Like almost like a D&D category. Like you'd have like, I'm a paladin clown.
You are saying a clown would be a race of human or a race.
It's like
basically.
Okay,
like a
in
species.
the D&D sense, it'd be like you have an elf, you have a dragonborn, you have a human, and then you have a clown.
Yeah, it's a race.
Yeah, it's a race.
Yeah.
That's just funny to me. But like they still but their culture is deeply seated in how we perceive clowns. That's
so it's like
I
it's
don't
all
know why.
humor-based.
To me, that's the funniest fucking concept of all time, and I have yet to meet anything that will ever beat it.
I'm not gonna lie. Thinking about like if you could pick like in D&D, if you could pick a clown race. And so this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing a clown like mage.
Yeah.
But it's all like just all the spells are just like silly slapstick humor. Like he'll do like a water, like he'll use a water spell and it will come out like just a little stream that
or
goes
like
1 foot and just goes down. And
he's got to do like maybe he has to summon like a handkerchief and he keeps pulling out, like he rolls a 1, so he just keeps pulling them out. I don't know. It's like one of the things that I could literally, if somebody ever got me into a room and they're like, explain to me the clown race in your concept for D&D.
I want to make it.
I would be like, well, put on some coffee, my friend, because we got a lot to discuss.
How much time do you have?
Yeah. We could do a whole episode of this. Like, we could record an episode of me pitching to you.
Dude, I'm bought in. Dude, I'm bought in because I'm thinking about it. I think this would be hilarious. Imagine
oh my God.
Imagine like a warrior, like you've got a 2-handed like hammer. You go to hit it and it turns out to be one of those squeaky hammers.
Yeah, like a barbarian clown, like a buff clown.
It would basically,
and he's still got like the male pattern baldness and the 2 little orange tuft. And he's ripped as shit. You don't think that's fun? If you don't think that's funny, you're a piece of shit. Like there's no way.
Oh my
that's
God,
not
that would
funny.
That would have to be built into all your roles.
Yeah.
That if you get such a low roll, your spell just becomes a comedy routine at that point. Like you hit the enemy and your hammer squeaks.
Instead of charisma, you have comedy. Like you can never so you know how the bard is like, I'm going to sleep with everybody and that's how I get out of it. Like you have to, so like the clown race, they're all about like vaudeville routines to get out of it. No matter what their like sub thing is. Like if they're a rogue, they have to do like stealth humor.
If we have, if this
rogue
podcast
clown would be a ventriloquist or a mime.
If this podcast can lead to anything, anything besides, fame and wealth to the point where we never have to work again, let it be that someone is a dungeon master listening and he's like, I got you guys.
Yeah.
And he writes up a whole campaign for us to play a clown race because it would. Now, I'm in. I want to do it. I want to know the clown lore. What drives the clowns?
What drives the clown race to do what they do? How are they looked at to the other races in Dungeons and Dragons land? So we have 3 goals now of Cartoon Dumpster Dive. The first one is always be self-sufficient, get advertisements, blah, blah, blah. Get Street Sharks in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Make clown a playable race in some sort of fantasy game.
And I want the Dungeon Master to buy in. I want him to be like, if I get a successful role, I can charm an entire cave of goblins by a clown routine to where they're all just sitting there laughing, clapping along while everybody else goes and just steals everything.
That's perfect. That is like, so awesome. Great. A clown bard. He's just a stand-up comedian. Well, okay, we got to end the show. What are your closing thoughts on Tripping the Rift?
Just watch a highlight. I'm sure you can find a YouTube of all the best jokes. If you want to hear the humor, go for it. But don't waste your time watching whole episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're all on a various streaming website known as YouTube. Yeah. If you really, really want to go back and watch them, if you liked it back then, chances are you're going to like it now. Yeah. If you want to go back, this is one of those shows where it's like, it's not jarring. It's still pleasing to look at. Not for the reasons that you're thinking, like animation wise, not just because it has tits every 5 minutes. But I believe that wraps up Tripping the Rift.
That's it.
If you'd like to support the show, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/cartoondd. There we have a $5 tier that gets you stickers, pins, access to bonus episodes, and our Discord. We have a website, cartoondumpsterdive.com. There you can request a cartoon for us to cover. 2 cartoons to go head-to-head in our Junkyard Brawl. Or if you want us to interview somebody, I've been trying to reach out, get my feelers out to get some more people that you guys might want to talk to. We'll see. We have a Twitter, CartoonDD. We have an Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all Cartoon Dumpster Dive. And as always, thank you for giving us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. It always helps out our algorithm so we don't trip and fall into the rift of obscure podcast. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya.
This has been a Lughole podcast.